Hello, everyone. 45 minutes on the psoas muscle today. So before we get started, let's just briefly talk about where the psoas muscle is and why it is so problematic for all of us that deal with hip and back pain. So I have my little friend with me here. And what I wanted to show you really quickly is not only where the psoas muscle is, but how large the muscle is. So the muscles that are external that we can kind of touch and feel, we get a good idea of how large or small they are just by kind of touching our arms or our legs. But when we're dealing with really deep muscles in the body, the average person who's not touching and feeling them on a regular basis really doesn't have any concept of how big these muscles really are. So I wanted to start with just really briefly showing you where the muscle is, how big it is, because we are going to use a ball today to self-mobilize this muscle. So if you look at the front of your body, minus any skin and guts and everything else, the psoas muscle is this big, huge muscle that you see on the front of the hip, the front of the pelvis, and the front of the spine. So it attaches directly to your low back, your lumbar spine. It comes down and crosses in front of the pelvis and then attaches to the inside of your hip. So what we're going to do today is we're going to work on lengthening the muscle. We're going to work on strengthening the muscle, at least its purpose relative to the low back. But the other thing we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to relax the muscle. So for a lot of people that the muscle's not short, so if you're, regularly walking, but you do a little too much sitting, it may not be that the muscle is just short and tight. It may be that it's just tense. So that's what we're going to kind of really focus on today. But for those of you that really do too much sitting, or you may do too much driving or any of that, the stretching that we're going to do for that psoas muscle today is really likely what you need. Okay, so here's what I want you to all do before we get started with class. I need you to find this hip pointer muscle this hip pointer bone right here. So it is the point on the front of your pelvic bone. It is really important for you to know where that point on that bone is, because where you're going to place the ball when we do this technique laying on our belly is going to be in and down from that point. Now, we are going to be sticking a round object in our abdomen today. So with that being said, if you are pregnant, if you have any sort of inflammatory pelvic or inflammatory bowel disease that is currently actively nagging you, maybe not a good idea to stick a big round ball into a muscle to help it relax. So just a little by the way on that one. All right, so let's get started. So have your ball somewhere near you, place it next to your yoga mat. We're going to be using it very, very shortly. But what I want to do is start with just a quick little diaphragmatic breathing exercise. So have yourself sitting on your bolster. Once you've got yourself sitting on your bolster, just let yourself move your pelvis to and fro, back and forth just a couple of times. And once you've moved it back and forth a couple of times, see if you can find that happy middle of the road for you. Chances are that's the point where you're likely sitting somewhere near your sit bones or the ischial tuberosities, the bottom of your pelvic bones. Sit your body up nice and tall, and then keep everything nice and still except your hip joints, and just gently hinge slightly forward until you feel weight into your feet. Take your hands, place your hands at the center of your heart, Anjali Mudra. Take an inhale, lift your hands up, reach your hands nice and high to the ceiling. And then as you exhale, pull those elbows down, pull those pinky fingers back, squeeze between those shoulder blades. Keep that squeeze between those shoulder blades, and then drop the hands back down onto the thighs. Now lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Stay in this position. See if you can take your diaphragm, take your belly, and on a nice slow inhale, just gently let your belly expand outward. And then as you exhale through the nose, just gently let the air exhale out. So no worries about counts or any of that. I just really want to make sure that you get that diaphragmatic breathing before we start moving the body and trying to get mobility in the belly. So slow, deep inhale into the belly and exhaling out. Let's do one more time. Slow, deep inhale in and exhaling out. You've got it. All right, so let's get right to it today. So what I want you to do to begin is you're going to take your bolster and literally turn your bolster 90 degrees on your yoga mat. So now it's going to be pointed perpendicular to your yoga mat. Once you have it in that position, I want you to straddle the yoga mat. Take the front leg, the left leg to start with, and place it so that it's in line with the top or the bottom of your mat, depending on how you've got your mat set up at home. Once you have that, it's going to be this back leg that we're focusing on to get this psoas happy today. So what I want you to do is literally take your hands and fall up and over that left leg. Right hand somewhere near the left ankle, left hand somewhere near the left knee. Once you have yourself in that position, check in that your pelvic floor is what's actually on the bolster. Then bring the weight of your body up and over your hands. So you'll have yourself somewhere, hopefully, where your elbows and wrists are directly underneath your shoulders, give or take. Then take that back right leg, turn that back right leg under as much as you can. Now, yes, I know you're feeling something in your left hip. This is kind of a double duty exercise to begin with today. Modification of pigeon pose, but we're going to be doing it to actively elongate that psoas muscle. So in this position, your body is forward, so we don't have to worry about your lumbar spine being in a lot of extension. See if you can turn your toes under. All right, now the right hip pointer, have it so that it's pointed downward towards that bolster. Shoulder blades, pull them back and down, lengthen your neck, settle your chin, gaze at the top of your mat. Here's what we're doing here. You're going to take an inhale and straighten your knee and lengthen through the front of that hip. Then as you exhale, you're going to drop that knee down. 4 more times. Inhaling, lifting that knee, lengthening through the front of the hip and engaging the gluteals, always good. Exhale, drop it down. Inhaling, lifting the knee, extending through the hip. Exhaling, dropping down. Let's do 2 more times here. Inhaling, lifting the knee, extending through the hip. Exhaling, dropping down. And one final time here. Inhaling, lifting that knee, extending through that hip. And exhaling, dropping down. Really nice. Now just gently allow yourself to turn. You're straddling the bolster. It's somewhere in the center of the mat. So all you now need to do is a 180. And voila, you're facing the bottom or the top of your mat. So just get yourself now so that your pelvic floor is in the center of your yoga bolster. Right leg this time is the one that's facing the top or bottom of your mat. And the left leg, just kind of have it in a modification, a Z pose right now. We'll get into those hip flexors, specifically that psoas, in just a second. Now take your hands and literally just lean up and over that right leg. So have the left hand somewhere near the ankle, the right hand somewhere near the knee. Then once you have yourself in that position, shift your body forward so that there's weight into your hands. Hopefully your elbows and wrists are somewhere underneath your shoulders. Once you're there, begin to turn and straighten out that back leg. Now, this left hip pointer, you're trying to point it downward towards that yoga bolster. Toes, turn them under on that left leg. Keep that body nice and forward, kind of push between those shoulder blades, lengthen that neck, settle the chin, and gaze to the top of the mat or bottom of the mat, however you want to look at it. 5 times extending through this left hip. So nice, good warm up for these hip flexors. So as you inhale, lift the knee, extend through the hip. Exhale, relax it down. Nice, good opening through the right hip as we're doing this. Inhale, lift that knee as high as you can, extend through that hip. Exhale, relaxing down. 3 more times here. Inhaling, lifting the knee, extending through the hip. Exhaling, relaxing down. Inhaling, lifting that knee, extend, squeeze that glute. Let's get some strength while we're at it. And exhale, relaxing down. And one more time. Inhaling, lifting through that knee, extending through that hip. And exhaling down. Very nice. Bringing yourself back up to the straddle position. Once you're there, take that right knee and bring it to the back of the bolster. Bring yourself up into a kneeling position. Take your bolster, just move it to the side. We're going to be using it in just a second, and bring yourself to hands and knees pose. So once you get yourself in hands and knees pose, check in that the knees are hip distance. Knees are directly underneath the hips, and gaze back and see that you cannot see your feet or your toes or your heels, and they're in line with your knees. Walk your hands forward so that your wrists and elbows are under the shoulders, and then check in that your index fingers are the ones that are pointing forward. All right, now in this position, what we want to do is just go through a couple of cat-cows, but I really want you to focus on the pelvis component of it. So it's all going to be about dropping that belly and tilting and tucking that pelvis, okay? So in this position, allow yourself to drop your belly as you inhale and lift your tailbone up. And then as you exhale, really contract through the abdominals and tuck the tailbone under, shortening and lengthening through that psoas muscle. Upper body, obviously, you can do the rest of cat-cow here, but we want to focus on the pelvic component. Inhale, drop the belly, lift that tailbone up. Exhale, tuck that tailbone under, really contract those abdominals and pull that abdomen in. Let's do one more time here. Inhaling, dropping the belly, lifting that tailbone. And then as you exhale, tucking that tailbone under and taking that abdomen and curling it under. Very good. Now slowly sit yourself back onto your heels for a moment and grab that little ball. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a mobilization of our psoas muscle with this little ball that we're using. 2.5 to 3 inches is the optimal size. And we're going to be doing one side at a time. So what you want to do, we're going to do the left side first, just because that's the side I've got facing the camera right now. But find that hip pointer for me. Once you find that hip pointer, you're going to roll the ball inward and downward, an inch or so, depending on the size of your body. That's where you're going to place the ball when you lay down on the mat. So gently bring yourself down onto your belly. Once you bring yourself down onto the belly, take the ball, find the hip pointer, roll it inward, roll it downward, and place that belly down onto the ball. Now you can support your head with your hands. You can keep yourself in a gentle modification of Sphinx pose, whatever is comfortable for you with your upper body today. But what I want you to think about is what is happening as you're pushing that ball upward into that psoas muscle, and a component of the psoas tendon as it joins with another one of your hip flexors. So as you're laying here, is there any tenderness? There might be tenderness just because that muscle's really, really tight. So a nice, easy thing to do to relax through that muscle is to just take a nice, slow, deep inhale into your belly and exhaling out. Let's do that one more time. Slow, deep inhale into the belly and exhaling out. Now, oftentimes when you're self-mobilizing using some sort of tool, foam roller, ball, whatever, it's good to incorporate movement. So let's go through 2 different beautiful movements that work here when you're on this psoas muscle. Option number 1 is to do a pelvic tilt. So in this position, as you take an inhale, belly expands. As you exhale, tuck your tailbone under, and you'll feel some accentuated push onto that ball. Yes, that's it. Inhale, relax, belly expands. Exhale, tuck the tailbone under. Inhale, relax, belly expands. Exhale, tuck that tailbone under. third and final option I want to give you is to move the leg. So just like when we were on the bolster, we turned our toes under, we lifted our knee. That's what you're going to work on doing. So take a nice deep inhale, expand the belly. Exhale, lift the knees, squeeze through the glutes, feel that accentuated push onto that psoas muscle with that ball. Inhale, relax the knee, expand the belly. Exhale, straighten the knee, extend the hip. One more time for me. Inhale, relax the knee, expand the belly. And exhale, lifting that knee, extending through that hip, feeling that play onto that ball, onto that psoas tendon and muscle. All right. Now, you at home, you can stay right where you are. I am just going to turn myself around so that my outside hip is the one that's facing you. But all that you need to do at home is just take that ball and move it over to the right hip pointer. Once you've found it on the right hip pointer, roll it in a bit, roll it down a bit. Once you have it in that position, take all of the weight of your pelvis and your abdomen and place it down on that ball. Now, you might need to wiggle a little bit, one side versus the other side, or you might immediately find it when you lay down on that ball. Now, rest your head down or modification to Sphinx pose, whatever you are feeling comfortable with doing today. But let's start with the diaphragmatic breathing first. So take that nice deep inhale and inhale into the belly. Feel that pressure of the ball into the muscle as you do that. And then as you exhale, just soften the belly, let that ball sink into that muscle and tendon. One more time here, nice deep inhale in. And exhaling. Maybe we want to add some movement to where that ball and that muscle and tendon are. First option is a nice, easy pelvic tilt and tuck here. So take an inhale, expand through the belly. As you exhale, tuck that tailbone under. Feel that extra pressure onto the ball, onto that muscle and tendon. Inhale, release the tuck, expand through the belly. Exhale, tuck that pelvis, gently feel that extra push that goes down into that ball, into that muscle. One more time for me here. Inhale, expand that belly. Exhale, pelvic tilt as you feel that pressure right onto that muscle and tendon. Beautiful. Finally, third step, if you want to give it a try, turn those toes under. We're going to be extending through our hip here. So take that inhale, nice deep inhale into the belly. And then as you exhale, just like with the bolster, lift that knee, extend through that hip. Oh boy, that's a nice good problem for me right there. Inhale, drop the knee, expand through the belly. Exhale, extend through the hip, lift through that knee. Feel that pressure of that muscle and tendon with that ball. Inhaling, relax the knee, extend through the belly. Exhale, lift the knee, now extend through the hip. Beautiful. Inhaling, relaxing, and then just taking that ball and moving it out of your way. You are done with it. Now take your hands, walk them underneath your shoulders, elbows, tuck them in. Nice deep inhale here, and on the exhale, push yourself back into a child's pose. Now, as you're tucking yourself back into a child's pose, make sure your knees are hip distance. Make sure that those feet haven't fallen inward. Sit bones down onto the heels, belly down onto the thighs, chest down onto the knees, dropping the elbows down, dropping the crown of the head down onto your yoga mat. Allow yourself to rest right there. Nice, good shortening through that muscle that we just worked with. Take a slow, deep inhale into that belly. And exhaling out. Slow, deep inhale into that belly. and exhaling out. Wonderful. Gently bringing yourself back up onto hands and knees. Stacking the hips on top of the knees. Feet and knees should already be in a good position. Taking those wrists and shoulders and lining them up. Index fingers, pointing them forward. Thumbs, spreading them inward. Let's go through 3 full cat-cows here. But again, try to focus on that pelvic area since we are focusing on the psoas muscle today. So take an inhale, sink the belly, lift the tailbone. You can do the rest of the cow pose, through the upper body. And then as you exhale, tuck that tailbone under, abdomen in. Rest of the cat pose. You've got it. Inhale, sink that belly, lift that tailbone up. Really focus on that lower half. Exhale, abdomen all the way tucked in, tuck that tailbone under. One final time here. Inhaling, dropping that belly down, lifting that tailbone up. And exhaling, tucking that tailbone under and arching, curling that spine as that abdomen goes in. All right, so bring yourself up into kneeling on your right knee. So that bolster should be somewhere near you. Use it for balance and then just gently bring yourself up so you're in a half kneeling position. So have yourself so that you can see that your right hip is stacked directly underneath your knee and the right foot is straight behind you. And then look at your left foot and make sure it's still about hip distance away from the right. And your knee is on top of the ankle somewhere. And then you've got that bolster from some additional support. All right. My favorite way to lengthen through the psoas muscle is in this position because there is weight down through the leg and weight into the spine. But we're going to do yet another stretch after this one that there is no weight through the spine and the leg, which might be safer for individuals that have back pain. But give it a try, see how it does for you. Once you've got that hip stacked perfectly on top of that knee, allow yourself to take your right hand and place it onto your pelvis bone. Take a deep inhale in, and as you exhale, tuck that tailbone under. Gently reach your chest just slightly forward towards that left knee. Feel the stretch in the front of the hip. Hold yourself right there. Keep that tuck tail under. Take a deep inhale into your belly and exhale out. One more time. Nice deep inhale in and exhale out. Yes, release the tuck of that tilt. Drop your left knee down and simply bring your right leg up. Now, when you get your right leg up, make sure that you've got the same alignment. So check in that you've got the hip directly stacked on top of the left knee and the left foot is straight behind that knee. Right foot is directly underneath the right knee and you've got something for balance with that right hand. Left hand is on the pelvis. Here we go. In this position, take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, tuck that tailbone under, slightly bring that rib cage forward so that you're not in your low back. Hold yourself right here. Take a deep inhale into your abdomen and exhale out. One more time. Nice deep inhale into your abdomen. And exhale out. Beautiful. Release your tilt. Drop your right knee down. Take that bolster, place it down into the center of your yoga mat. Now, we need to get on our bolster to do the next psoas technique that we're going to do. So let me show you an easy way to get on the bolster. But if you are skilled at doing this, just hop yourself onto your bolster, laying on your back so that you're in an inversion position. For those that are not quite skilled with using bolsters yet, what I want you to do is bring yourself to the front half of the bolster. So have it so that your right and or left, depending on which side you're getting on, is right to the very edge of the bolster. Once you have yourself there, stack your knees and then very gently drop yourself down onto your elbow right at the edge of that yoga mat. If you do that, you're going to be perfectly in the center of your yoga bolster when you roll yourself over. Then drop yourself down onto your shoulder. Once you're on your shoulders, engage your abdomen and just give yourself a 90-degree turn and you should be perfectly sitting on top of that bolster in a nice, easy inversion. Lengthen through the neck, settle through the chin so that you've got some nice good alignment of your upper body here. And you can play if you like with the position of your bolster if you need be. Now, allow yourself just to gently bring your knees to your chest, hip distance, keep the feet hip distance apart, lengthen through your neck, settle through your chin, and take a nice deep inhale here, followed by an exhale. One more for me, nice deep inhale in, followed by an exhale. Wonderful. Right foot, place the right foot on the floor. Now, you may already feel an opening through your right hip here. That's what we want. But take both hands to the left knee, either to the shin bone or underneath, whichever you prefer. Take a nice deep inhale, and as you exhale, pull that left knee to your chest as much as you can. Make sure that that lumbar spine is in a nice, good flexion so that we really are focusing on the psoas muscle. Okay, 2 options here for you, and I'm going to give you them both. You pick whichever one feels like it's at your pace for today. Option number 1, you're going to take an inhale, and on an exhale, you're just going to gently crawl your foot out until you get to the point that if you keep crawling, your foot begins to lift off the floor. Option number 2, and a little bit more of the intensive way of stretching through the psoas. Take an inhale, kick the knee straight. Then as you exhale, pull the heel straight down towards the yoga mat. So pick which one feels like it's the right one for your psoas muscle, but you want to be feeling the stretch through the front of the hip. If you lost the stretch to the front of the hip, you may have lost your knee away from your chest. So allow yourself to check in that you're not in lumbar extension. Once you have yourself wherever you are today in this pose, I want you to really focus on diaphragmatic breathing now. So keep squeezing through your glutes, which help open up through the front of your hip. Soften those muscles on your face, maybe even put a smile on your face if that's at all possible, and take a nice deep inhale into your belly. And an exhale out. One more time, nice deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. Keeping the left knee to the chest. Inhale as you slowly slide that foot flat back on your yoga mat. And then exhale, just rest here. Got it. All right, let's switch sides. So take an inhale, bring your right knee to your chest. And then as you exhale, nice good squeeze, pulling those knees into your chest. Deep inhale into your belly here. And exhaling out. Switching the hands to the right leg. Take an inhale, and then as you exhale, just lower the left foot down to the floor. Now, you may already be in that stretch through the front of your hip and that psoas muscle, but let's make it a little bit more specific. Right leg, take a nice deep inhale, and as you exhale, really snug that knee nice and tight to your chest. Kind of guarantees that you're not going to be using and moving your lumbar spine, and it is going to be focusing on lengthening that psoas muscle. All right, 2 options here. Option number 1, take the inhale, and on the exhale, just gently crawl that foot down until you get to the point that you cannot crawl anymore because your foot lifts off the floor. Option number 2, keeping the right knee to the chest, take an inhale, kick the knee straight, and then as you exhale, lower that leg down, really engaging through your glutes. So you kind of pick which one is the best for you today, whichever one you are at, hold it there. Allow yourself to keep those glutes squeezed if you can. Soften through your face, maybe a smile like you did on the right side, and then take a nice deep inhale into your belly. And exhaling out. One more for me. Nice deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. Beautiful. Now, inhale, slowly slide that left foot until it's flat on the floor. And then exhale, just relax it here. Then gently inhale, bring the left knee back up to the chest. And exhale, knees to chest. All right. Take a deep inhale into your belly here. And then exhaling out. Wonderful. All right. So to this point, we have warmed up and lengthened the psoas muscle. We have self-mobilized the psoas muscle with some sort of tennis ball, massage ball, whatever. And we have done a weight-bearing and a non-weight-bearing stretch for the psoas muscle. So the only thing we have left to do is some strengthening of the psoas muscle. So oftentimes the issue is that the muscle's too tense. That's why we used the ball today. Or the muscle's too tight. That's why we did the stretches today. But a lot of individuals, the muscle is always also too weak. So let's work on some nice, good strengthening of our psoas muscles today. So allow yourself to take your knees and place your knees so that they're just away from your chest, but in front of your hips. And drop your heels and then point your toes towards your head. Now, in this position, take your right hand to your right thigh, your left hand to your left thigh. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin, take your shoulder blades, bring them back and down. And then just very, very lightly push your hands into your thighs into your hands. As you begin to do that, picture that you're taking your fingers and your thigh bones and you're trying to lift them upwards toward your ceiling. Hopefully you'll feel some shaking happening. Maintain that light resistance, very light resistance, but pulling those fingertips and thighs upwards towards the ceiling. And take a nice deep inhale in and exhale out. One more time. Nice deep inhale in, exhale out. Release the contraction, bring the knees back to the chest. All right, let's make it harder. So set yourself back up again. So knees away from the chest, but in front of the hips. Drop the heels, point the toes, hands onto the thighs, fingertips up, shoulder blades back and down. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Did you get all that? Okay, put a smile on your face while you're at it. All right, so lightly push the hands into the thighs into the hands, fingertips, lift them up to the ceiling as you try to pull your legs upward. Now keep that contraction. Now, let go of the right hand against the leg. Keep the left contraction. Hold it there. Right hand has nothing to do right now. Can you hold that contraction on your left leg with your right leg? Can you take an inhale and kick that leg out? Can you take an exhale and pull that leg in? Nice and slow and controlled. 2 more times. Inhale. Keep resisting. Keep lifting with the left leg. Exhale. And again. Inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Pull those knees to your chest. Nice, good hug. Take a deep inhale into your belly. And exhaling out. All right, last round. We got to move the left leg, right? So take the knees away from the chest, but in front of the hips. Drop the heels, point the toes up. Hands onto the thighs, fingertips pointed upward, shoulder blades back and down. Lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Here we go. Smile on the face. Begin to lightly resist, hands into knees, knees into hands, and then start to lightly pick those legs up as you pull the fingertips towards the ceiling. Now, maintain that on the right leg. Let go of the left leg. As you maintain it on the right leg, let's move the left leg. Left hand can just rest out to the side. Take an inhale, lengthen the left leg outward. As you exhale, pull it back and in. 2 more times. Inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, back on in. And inhale, lengthen out. And exhale, back on in. Beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. Take a nice deep inhale here, and on the exhale, pull those knees to your chest one last time. Take a deep inhale into your belly. and exhale out. Beautiful. Now, slowly push your bolster away from you until you get to the point that you can kind of grab it with one hand and just gently push it away from you. Now you've got your pelvis and your feet back onto the floor. Once you're there, take your right knee and bring your knee up to your chest. Take a nice deep inhale here. And then as you exhale, pull that right knee into your chest. Left leg, take a nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, slide that left leg straight down on the mat. So we are folding the right hip flexor, the right psoas. We are lengthening the left psoas. So hold yourself right here, shoulder blades back and down, lengthen your neck, settle your chin. Toes up on the left foot. Take an inhale, push the left leg down into the floor. Take an exhale, pull the right knee into your chest. 2 more times. Inhale, left leg, push it down into the floor, feel your glutes engage. Exhale, right leg, pull the knee to the chest. One final time. Inhale, left leg, push that leg down into the floor. Exhale, right leg, pull the knee into the chest. You've got it. Slide that left leg up. Relax that left foot down. Take an inhale, left knee into your chest. Exhale, slide the right leg down on the mat. Let's do it all over again on the opposite side. So right toes, point them up towards the ceiling. Lengthen the neck, settle the chin, shoulder blades back and down. Here we go. Inhale, push the right leg down into the floor. Feel the glutes engage. Exhale, pull the left knee into your chest. 2 more times. Inhale, push that right leg down. Exhale, pull that left knee in. One final time here. Inhale, push that right leg down. And exhale, pull that left knee in. And slowly relax. Now keep your right leg straight down on the mat. Take your left foot, place it onto your right thigh. Right hand, reach up and over for that left knee. Left hand, bring it out to the side of your body. Take a nice deep inhale here. And as you exhale, spinal twist, bringing that left knee across the body as the hip opens. Pelvis rotates, low back rotates, rib cage rotates. Keeping that left shoulder blade onto your yoga mat, finding your spinal twist, then lengthening your neck, settling your chin, and turning your gaze towards that left hand. Take a nice deep inhale into your belly here. And exhaling out. One more time, nice deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. Inhaling, bringing that head back to the center. And then as you exhale, can you slowly de-rotate that spine, rib cage, low back, pelvis, hip. Then place the left foot on the floor, slide the right leg up, slide the left leg down, place the right foot onto the left thigh. Left hand, reach up and over for that right knee, right hand out to the side of the body. Take a nice deep inhale here. And then as you exhale, pulling that right knee over, feeling that stretch to the hip. And then continuing as the pelvis rotates, the low back rotates, the rib cage rotates, but the right shoulder blade stays engaged on the mat. Finding your spinal twist, lengthening through your neck, settling through your chin, rotating and gazing towards that right hand. Nice, slow, deep inhale into the belly here. And exhaling out. Slow, deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. Gently inhaling as you unrotate your head. And then as you exhale, allow that rib cage to unrotate, that low back, that pelvis, that hip, placing the right foot on the floor, sliding the left leg up. Now, once you have both knees back bent, feet flat on the floor, take one knee to your chest, followed by the other knee to your chest. Nice, good hug here. Really take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, pull your knees to your chest. Full shortening of both of the psoas muscles here. Hopefully they're folding a lot better. Hopefully they're more mobile. Hopefully they're longer and they're stronger. All right, deep inhale into your belly and exhaling out. Keep that contraction of the abdominal at the end of that exhale. Place your feet back down onto the floor, keeping that spine and pelvis nice and stable, sliding those legs down to the corners of your mat. And then once you have them there, relax the abdomen, relax the pelvis, get those beautiful shoulder blades underneath you, rest your arms out to the side of your body, lengthen your neck, settle your chin, rest your body. All right, now that you've got your body nice and still, let's see if we can focus that mind for a second. Here's something I want you to think about visualizing. I want you to think about visualizing. Don't look now, don't cheat. I want you to think about visualizing what would be the size of the space if you were to take your thumb and your index finger and touch the tips of them. How big of a space would you have in that circle between those index fingers and those thumbs? Just imagine that for a second. And the reason I have you thinking about that is I read an article once that said that that is about the diameter of your own psoas muscle. So just visualize that for a second. We'll take a look at it in just a minute at the end. But as your body's still and you're resting and you're breathing, imagine what the size of that might be as you touch that index finger to your thumb and you think about the size of that circle. It's not a tiny muscle. It's not a short muscle. It's why it's oftentimes the problem child between our hip and our low back and our pelvis. Now let's end with 2 beautiful diaphragmatic breaths here. So take a slow, deep inhale into your belly. And then exhaling out. Nice, slow, deep inhale into the belly. And exhaling out. And then very gently wiggle your fingers and your toes. And do some circles with your wrists and your ankles. And then when you feel like you're ready, start to slide the right and left legs up when both knees are bent. Go ahead and gently roll yourself to your left or right side. Rest there for a breath or 2. And then when you feel like you're ready, bottom elbow, top hand, push yourself up into a seated position, finding yourself an easy pose. And then once you're there, put that index finger and thumb together and imagine the size of those muscles that you have on both your left and your right side. They're not tiny. We need to work on our psoas muscles. All right, find yourself in a nice, good, easy pose, and then place your hands to your heart. Nice deep inhale into the belly and exhaling out. Namaste. The highest in me salutes the highest in you. Thank you for joining me today.